continuing on, and Pool B, it doesn't get any quieter. New Zealand, the defending series champions, not in the mix because they couldn't come and play earlier on, taking on Canada, who have had a tough road to hoe this season. New Zealand have got a slightly new look team, resting a couple of guys, bringing in some different players for Canada, the likes of Jake Teal, Phil Burner. That's their experience. They're really exciting youngsters in there too. Great to see Josiah Morra in jersey 6 back in the Canadian side.
New Zealand coming off the Commonwealth Games last weekend, so resting some of their senior players, as you mentioned, but plenty of experience and power and talent in those ranks. And for Canada, scuffled a lot early in the season, have had a couple more promising signs in these last tournaments. So for them, it's all about building, continuing to grow a lot of the youth they have in their team as well, and they'll have just seen their North American rivals come out and put in a good performance. And New Zealand saw South Africa go down, will know just how much South Africa will be coming at them later. So knowing they need to put in a good performance, perhaps pile on some points, as points difference could become something that matters in this pool.
We'll see them in full voice a little bit later when Fiji makes their way. Pool B, Canada against New Zealand. And Kurt Baker, the New Zealand veteran, this is his 50th international tournament for New Zealand. 44th on the World Series, plus 3 Commonwealth Games, 2 Rugby Sevens World Cups, and the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. He joins DJ Forbes, Tamasi Whanaputiraikambola, Scott Curry, Tim Mickelson, and Sam Dixon to hit 50 international tournaments for New Zealand. Thomas Assured back in the Canadian team in full flow, no doubt. Returned to the series in Singapore, had a mixed bag, couple of silver medals, one of their worst ever results, in fact their worst ever in Toulouse, and of course the bronze medal at the Commonwealth Games just a couple of weeks ago.
Well, held off the series for a very long time, I'm sure, itching to come back on, and it hasn't gone the way they probably would have hoped since, so wanting to come into LA this weekend and go one step further than they were able to in London.
Kurt Baker in his 50th gets us underway, and it'll be one of the young guns will soar for New Zealand, but ball knocked into the hands of Canada, and they've got some exciting young talent in this side, led by one of these guys though too, Jake Teal. We'll see his twin brother out there at some stage make his debut. Loose ball goes New Zealand's way though. However, knock on the ground. A scrappy start from both teams.
Yeah, just mistakes from both teams. Canada not looking after the ball at the back of the breakdown. Teal coming out and perhaps not a bit of an ill-advised decision, getting caught, but able to get some numbers there, and then he loses the ball on the ground. New Zealand not able to recover. So both teams making mistakes. Canada will now have the opportunity to try and get into their attack, see where they can test this New Zealand defence, which has been very strong for the last couple of years.
Cooper Coates feeds the scrum, stabs a little kick through for himself. Baker will have to chase back, and there's a shoulder-to-shoulder tussle. Baker can't handle though, and Coates scoops it up really well. He had Ngongo with him, did Coates, and away goes Teal. New Zealand backpedaling early. Jake Teal taking it upon himself. Canada pressing straight away. New Zealand's defence really having to scramble. They were caught napping a wee bit in the morning here in Los Angeles. Teal keeping it in short and tight. There is Anton Ngongo. Knocked down, ball lands New Zealand's way, and they might try and spread straight away through one of their exciting young players. Moses Leo back in the New Zealand side after injury. Molia, co-captain this weekend. And there's the other one, Joe Webber. It's really messy though in the Kiwis at the moment. Roderick Solo tidies up. Now some space and some room and some power running straight up through the middle. Welcome back to the series it'll be for Moses Leo. And New Zealand do strike first, a little untidy but getting there eventually.
The New Zealand mistakes not costing them, all looking after. They got so many numbers. The Canadian mistakes just so close to the line. Cannot afford loose passes like that. And Teal did well. He was getting them to go forward. He's frantic. He's moving everywhere. But the mistake comes, and New Zealand don't need a second invitation. Go the length. And Canadian sweeper looked like he was not really very interested in chasing that one down. So don't know if that's a scrape who was not really scraping or a sweeper who was a bit tired. But only a couple minutes in this game, Canada are going to need to make sure their defence is cooperating a bit more and forcing New Zealand to go more than kind of two widths of the field, which is what they had to do there.
Moses Leo, he missed Toulouse in London with the injury suffered in Vancouver. Quite the talent though, 25-year-old. Baker converts, 7 points to 0. Ngongo will go for this one and knocks it down. Oh, I was going to say, nicely for Brock Webster. Teal tidies up. And now Webster, sold Joe Weber a dummy and scooted away himself. Got the support from Ngongo, and Teal on a charging run. Tries to squeeze a ball around the corner, does so because it's tidied up nicely by Coates, who goes up the middle again. He's had some nice touches early, Cooper Coates. Ball's there for the Canadians, and Alex Russell all of a sudden from 50 metres out just has seen acres of space. And away go Canada and Alex Russell.
I'm sitting here wondering a little bit what's Canada doing, throwing every pass seemed to hit the ground, but then New Zealand, don't know if their defence got tired, but it just seemed like they completely lost track of the Canadian attacker Russell out on the left, and he gets the ball with absolutely no one in front of him. Baker the only one chasing him from the very far touchline, and Canada striking back and showing that it doesn't always have to be pretty, it doesn't always have to be clean, but in sevens you get those tries, you can get on the board and pull back in this match.
Conversion's no good, but Alex Russell spent some time over here. Oh, there's some injury concerns for New Zealand for sure. A couple of players, just seen Moses Leo limp away, and Roderick Solo clutching his arm too on the sideline. So Canada, New Zealand leading 7 points to 5, and some problems for New Zealand. That kick is just gonna go. No, it didn't quite. Ngongo.
You play with those fine margins, but it's a costly error. Canada have just scored. They have the momentum, and immediately you give it to the other team. You allow them to kind of slow the game down, compose themselves, and really launch something that they've trained a million times. So always a costly error when that kickoff doesn't go 10. Rest any momentum that you'd started to build.
Weber, all his experience. Oh, big early ball wide for Nicole, who's somehow held on to it. New Zealand spread back through the hands. Here's Shay Clark on debut. Shay Clark, first glimpse of 7 series action for the Kiwi teenager as Shay Clark scores.
Clark doing well, but the Canadian defence just hanging off them and concerning. I mean, Nicole looked like if he catches that cleanly, he's probably in on the left. And really, whenever New Zealand have the ball, it's just coming far, far too easily for them. We see somehow able to hold on to that. Not quite sure how he did that. But if he did catch that cleanly, there was no one in front of him. And Clark gets the ball here and just slides across the field. The Canadian defence dropping off and allowing him to go in the corner very, very easily there.
Shay Clark, 19 years old. This is his World Series debut, but he did play in the Commonwealth Games for New Zealand. He bolted into the squad with some impressive performances locally. Kicks just short. There he is, Shay Clark, one to watch in the future. 12 points to 5. Baker goes up the middle, chip kick for Joe Weber to chase, and it's going to knock back just on the New Zealand side, is it? Yeah, Tangi Tau tidies up. And then gets the ball again, Caleb Tangi Tau. Has been a breakout player for the Kiwis this season. Here's Weber. Weber's got Clark with him, and it's a good defence, though, from Canada. They're having to scramble, and they're scrambling well. Molia. Baker trying to get around the outside of Teal. able to offload for Ware, and Nicole takes this one cleanly, crashes in to Phil Burner, flirting with the sideline and knocking it on. We'll get to half time, probably best for both teams. Frustration a wee bit in both of these teams in the huddles at the moment. 12 points to 5, New Zealand lead Canada at half-time. A scrappy first half. We see what's coming up. England, Scotland, and a few others. The supporters there. A tough old day for some of them, but yeah, a bit messy, isn't it, Madison?
Both teams making a lot of errors. Canada's costing them so far a bit more than New Zealand. New Zealand, yeah, a little careless in defence. Very uncharacteristic of them how easily Canada went in. And for New Zealand, every time they seem to move the ball wide, it doesn't take long for the Canadian defence to kind of be falling behind them. So both teams need to step it up here in the second half.
Restart soars high and straight out over the sideline. Well, a mistake straight away from the Canadians' Coates.
And that's 2 mistakes from 2 kickoffs for the Canada. And for a team who knows that they're going to have to play pretty close to their best in order to beat New Zealand, errors like that just prevent you from being able to, even get close normally.
This is a Pool B match. We have already seen an absolute stormer from the USA. 21 points to 7, beating South Africa in the opening game of the day. South Africa, the series champions. Henry Paul, the Canadian coach, and New Zealander as well, watching on. Webber. Joe Webber to the line is going to get a little bit flick ball for Tangitau, who just accelerates with his power. He's so strong, Caleb Tangitau, and he strikes for New Zealand straight away. A double thumbs up to Kurt Baker.
Tangitau showing his power, his speed, driving through, but once again for Canada, that's one width of the field and New Zealand have gone in. I think they're going to have to seriously look at their defence after this one. New Zealand showing their power, showing their skill, and building this lead, and that's what they need to do, because off the result of earlier, points difference could be crucial in this pool. So for New Zealand, as they get later in this second half, they're going to want to make sure they're keeping to pile on the points, keeping to pile on the tries, even as they know the result is probably in hand.
Caleb Tangitau, 18 tries in 5 events. Double thumbs up. That's the Kurt Baker signature try celebration being passed on to one of the youngsters. Baker strokes this restart. Nicole was the target, but it was well taken by Webster. Isherwood onto the field, Thomas Isherwood, who always brings a lot of energy. Webster again, Canada just trying to create something, really get their game going, and one player to do that is that young man Josiah Mora, who's been off the series since February with injury. Teal crashes, and then a ball around the corner for Webster, and now Ngongo. There's Josiah Morra again. New Zealand's defence pretty well set at the moment, just picking them off. Teal heavily involved. Here's Isherwood, spins out a one and gets towards halfway. And a penalty goes Canada's way.
And better passage of play from the Canada there. They've held on to possession a little bit more. We're not seeing those loose offloads quite to the same extent we saw earlier. So that's what Canada needs to do in attack. They need to go through phases, start testing this New Zealand defence, start making sure that they have to defend a few passages of play. We saw in the first half, it didn't take that long for a gap to appear. So Canada, make sure you look after the ball, don't throw those careless offloads, get the ball in the hands of your powerful runners and see what you can do against this New Zealand defence.
Lovely to have Thomas Isherwood and his resplendent hair back on the series. Missed out on the Com Games as well. So good to have him back in the Canadian side. As I said, brings a lot of energy to this Canadian team, but he needs to nail his core job first here. Find his target. He does so, Jake Teal, and gets the ball back. Ngongo's been prominent. Here's Morra. Webster tries to take on Tangitau around the outside. I think has just got caught by some friendly fire in the eyes. He runs back into position. Isherwood. New Zealand trying to get him through this and will get it. Tony Nyashu onto the field and making an immediate impact.
New Zealand defence staying strong, staying very, very physical, and missed touch here from New Zealand. Again, gives Canada the ball. Probably won't be a costly mistake in the game, but prevents them from getting those points they need.
Bit of a rush of blood from New Zealand. Teal couldn't get the arms free this time. Penalty Canada. It's just been a little inaccurate from both teams at times.
Really has. I mean, the first half just seemed to be every pass was going to ground. Here it's been a little more, some errors in contact. We saw the kicking error. So I think it's really preventing either team from being able to get into the flow of their attack, making for a bit of a disjointed one so far. So for both these teams, 2.5 minutes left.
Well, that's not gone out either. It's pinned New Zealand right back. Chance for them to break out right from their own half, though. Right from their own goal line. Rokolesoa takes on the line. Decided to take it upon himself. Aquila Rokolesoa. He cemented himself in this team in the last year, and he has cemented the win for New Zealand with this try.
Moment of individual magic from Rokolesoa, and sometimes that's what it needs in games like this. The team flow isn't quite working. Who is going to step up and be that person to put some impetus into your attack, get your team going forward, show what it's about, and then you can build from that. And Rokolesoa doing it there, right from pretty much his own goal line, going the length. And again, far, far too easy. It's just one brushed off Canadian defender, and then there's absolutely no one in front of him.
He's had some real moments of magic this season. Aquila Rokolesoa missed out on the Olympic squad, a travelling reserve, and he has really shone. And conversion good too, so 26 points to 5 now. New Zealand have it in hand with just over a minute to play. Tries a cheeky little restart there. It's not quite going to come off for New Zealand. Isherwood was awake to the threat. Here's Josh Teal on to the field for Canada on debut, the twin of Jake. Canada have to play. Ball will slowly come out of there for Canada. Again, trying a little change attack, a kick in behind the line. Scooting back this time for New Zealanders. Lewis Ormond back in the side since first time since 2017.
Canada, they've tried it a couple times in this match. First time they did recover possession. It looks a little bit aimless though. It doesn't look like the outside Canadian attackers knew that kick was coming, had called for the kick to come, and so they're not flying onto that ball. Allows Ormond to get back, and then a little bit of over-eagerness. You've got to allow the guy who slides on the ground to get back to his feet before you tackle him. Canada not judged to have done that. Gives New Zealand the penalty, and they go to this line out as time ticks away. And I think for New Zealand, Obviously, they'll be saying we're going to try and win every game. We'll focus on ourselves winning every game, but getting a try here could prove crucial later in the day.
Broccoli saw it for Clark. Nyashu. Characteristic strength there is Ormond, and a mistake from New Zealand probably sums up the game, but the Kiwis will get through with that one quite comfortably in the end. New Zealand take it out over Canada 26 points to 5. Lewis Ormond looks a little frustrated, got back on, as I say, first time back in the side since 2017, a Rio Olympian. It's a real mixture of experience.